Welcome to Rack of the Week number 211. This week we're talking about one pocket. First, I want to mention newest supporter on YouTube, Donald, and you can see all of my supporters from Patreon and YouTube on the screen there. I want to call out real quick my Ghost Bridge. I've been working on this for a couple of months now, getting feedback from different people, made some improvements to it, and this is the current version. I've softened all the edges. All the edges are rounded over in the holes and along the perimeter of the bridge. And I've got a custom grommet. It's the same as the grommet you see in a lot of the other bridges. It's got some expandable ridges inside. So now when you put your cue in there, it really grabs the cue and it's really firm. 14-1 products like this. You guys are liking the 14-1 shirts. So go to shortstoponpool.com and check out that out, shirts, jerseys, and everything else you could want to wear. Let's get into this rack. As you might guess, I'm talking about the finals of the U.S. Open at Griff's in Las Vegas. By the way, I'll put a link to Griff's YouTube channel in the description. I'm not going to show every shot from this game. I'm going to respect the Griff's TV copyright. Please go to Griff's on YouTube and support them. Subscribe to their channel and go there if you want to watch this entire match. This is the fourth game, I believe, of the finals. Shout out to Roberto Gomez. Wow, what a tournament he played. Go watch some of his matches. Evan Lunda made a run out, and basically I'm showing this as a Rack of the Week for fun. There's a couple little things we'll look at and kind of learn from it, but mostly it's for fun because wow, it's incredible when someone makes an out like this. For those of you who haven't seen it, you're going to enjoy it. Let's take a look at the rack. What you're looking at right now is the first inning. Roberto Gomez broke this game. This is the result of the break shot. It's Evan's shot. This game only goes 4 innings. This is the first inning. Evan has a couple of opportunities. It looks like he can bank the 10 ball this way past the 2, but his cue ball is going to clip the pink 4 ball. We're not sure where it's going to go. He decides to bank the 2. I'm not going to show the shot. He gets a double kiss on the 2 ball. This is the result right here. Roberto Gomez has a shot on this stripe against the rail. And I'm not going to show Roberto's run out. It's great. Go watch the video if you want to see it. But Roberto runs 7 balls. He gets the 13, comes out here, gets the 9 ball, then has a shot, I believe, on this ball, goes to the rail and out, gets a shot on the 14, then he banks 2 balls, 1 ball ends up over here. He runs 7 balls, basically. This is the result at the end of that inning. Roberto Gomez needs 1 ball. His last shot was to bank a ball that was about here, and the cue ball was pretty straight. I believe Roberto was trying to bump this 5 ball out of the way so that he'd have an easy short side shot on this pink 4 ball into his pocket. And then he would have won the game. I only point that out to demonstrate the tiny margin of error that is often the difference between victory and defeat. And to be honest with you, Roberto's going to win this game against most opponents, even though he didn't get a shot on his 8th ball. So on this shot, Roberto knocks both of these balls away from the pocket. And the result of that shot for Evan Lunda is this. So there's 8 balls on the table. In my thumbnail, I said, I always ask this question. And this is kind of remedial one pocket. This is one pocket 101. Whenever you come to the table in a one pocket game, what question should you ask yourself? You should ask yourself, what is the score? Because it matters. As a general rule, now all rules are made to be broken, but as a general rule, if you're behind in the score, you want to be a little more aggressive with your play. If you're ahead in the score, you can be a little bit more conservative. I'm not describing that in a lot of detail. There's more to it than that. And like I said, all rules are made to be broken. But if Evan Lunda was ahead in the score, he might not bank this 15. He's behind in the score. And the reason why he banks this 15 is because it's natural position for the cue ball to do this. And then he's got a cut shot on this pink 4. So there's something behind it. And that gives him a reason to shoot the shot. If there's nothing behind it, then you're only gaining one ball if you shoot it. Evan Lunda banks this 15 ball, and he hangs it in the jaws. The cue ball and the 15 end up here. This is an easy shot for Roberto Gomez to go rail first. and take the 15 ball out and knocks it up table. This is kind of standard one pocket so far. This is Evan's shot. This would be the third inning. And so once again, you come to the table, what's the score? I'm behind. I need 8 balls. My opponent needs 1. So you can afford to be more aggressive. How many of you would have shot? What do you see from here? And how many of you would have shot this if you know what he shoots? There's almost nothing aggressive except for this one pick shot at the 4 ball. And the reason why it's a good shot is because a player of Evan's caliber is going to hit the correct side of this 4 ball. The cue ball is going to go into the 3 and 8 and stop. You're either going to carom this pink ball off from the 6 or cut the pink ball directly towards your pocket. You actually have a fairly good chance of pocketing this pink ball and getting a follow-up shot. It's a very aggressive shot. It might look a little wild to some people, but it's a very controllable shot. Like I said, to players of Evan's caliber, they know they're going to hit this pink ball and they're going to hit it on the correct side. There's nothing else offensive that you can go for here. Some players might choose in this situation to bank the 4 ball over here. You're going to hit the bottom side of the 1, and so the 4 ball should come back this way, and the 1 ball will probably go like this. So in other words, you're moving 2 balls over to your side, and then you can stick the cue ball right here in the stack. Now that's a safe shot. And in some situations, that would be the correct shot, especially when you're what? Ahead in the score. Because now you're not leaving anything offensive for your opponent and you're controlling the game. In this situation, that shot doesn't do anything but prolong your loss. If you're behind, you need 8 balls. All you're doing with that shot is trying to not lose. You're not doing anything to actually try to win. So this is a really cool shot. I'm going to play this and just watch how well Evan hits this. He very nearly cuts that in. Well, he comes about a half a diamond away. But had he made that shot, the 6 ball's next, and he's going to get these balls as a minimum. He has a good chance of getting this ball. He's going to need either 2 or 3, and his opponent needs 1 right back in the game. So that was an excellent shot by Evan Lunda, but he's not done yet. What would you do here? I would probably do the same thing that Roberto Gomez does, which is he plays off from the 3. You want to hit the 3 ball full. You're not hitting it thin. You need to hit it full because you want to knock it over to your side of the table. And then he brings the cue ball down behind the pink ball. There's still 8 balls on the table. Evan London needs 8. Roberto needs 1. He's probably feeling real good about his chances of winning this game. And he should. And in fact, the announcer asks at this point, what do you think the odds are of Evan winning this game? And the other announcer says, they're not as long as you might think. Why is that? It's what I mentioned in the last inning. There's 5 balls down table. If these 5 balls, or if these 4 balls were up table, now Evan's odds of winning this game are indeed quite long. But with those 5 balls down table, you got to be really careful what you're doing. This is kind of similar to a 9 ball and 10 ball. When you're playing the cue ball safe behind a ball, and you get the cue ball right behind the ball like this, and you might think to yourself, oh man, I got a good shot. But your opponent pulls out their jump cue and jumps the 1 ball in the pocket and runs out on you. What I'm trying to say is, if you're going to play safe behind the ball, you need to play safe and get that cue ball tucked right up behind that ball. 9 ball and 10 ball, if you do that, now your opponent's kicking, not jumping. In one pocket, you're taking away all the offensive opportunities that your opponent might dream up. Instead, there's a couple of inches between these balls, and Evan Lunda has a shot. Now, I mentioned earlier, you come to the table, you ask yourself, what's the score? Evan Lunda needs 8. If he needed 4 or 5, he might not, or 2 or 3, he might not want to be as aggressive. But needing 8, you can be pretty aggressive because you are still a long shot to win the game. But there is a bank shot on this 4 ball, and I invite you guys to practice this shot, especially if you're a 1 pocket player, you're going to need it. The angle, trying to judge the cut angle to perfectly bank this is almost impossible. That's not how you bank it. What you do is you shoot the pink ball hard, not super hard, but firmly across the table with left English. So you're shooting it firm so that the rebound angle doesn't come wide due to your left English, but it turns it enough to turn it into the pocket. Okay, so if you're hitting it with that much speed, where's the cue ball going? You have these balls, which you have a chance of getting. You want a chance to get a shot on one of these balls in your pocket. That means you're playing position over here somewhere. But you can't just shoot with high left and expect the cue ball to go to the head rail and down here, or even down to the bottom rail and up and land in this zone. That it just makes the shot incredibly difficult. And part of the reason is you're fighting the spin. You have left spin on the cue ball. That makes the cue ball want to go that way. Okay, so you go with the spin. So what Evan does is the natural tangent line of the cue ball is this way anyway. So just let it go that way and let the spin do this. Now, I don't think Evan can predict where the cue ball is going to stop, but he's got 3 balls for the cue ball to hit. And obviously, if the cue ball hits the 8 or the 6, he's going to have a chance of coming away with a shot or a bank shot into his pocket. So it looks risky, it looks wild, but it's a very well thought out, well executed, and correct shot. Let's watch him shoot it. Now, like I said, he's concentrating on pocketing the 4 ball. The cue ball's a little bit more of the mystery. He has a good idea of where it's going, but see, it's with the speed to turn the ball off the rail, and then he gets a fortuitous bump off the 8 ball and the 6 ball. Now, to some of you that might look lucky, but there's a rule in pool that says you have to be good enough to get lucky. Evan shot a fantastic bank shot, and he knew where the cue ball was going. That gives you the opportunity to get fortunate, and that's what he did. It's not luck, it's all skill. Now, I won't show these shots. The next 3 shots are really easy. Every pool player in the world is going to shoot the 6 and come out for the 7. Then you can, from the 7, you can go 1 rail or 2 rails and land here for the 8 ball. That's what Evan does. So let's advance forward. So from the 8 ball, Evan's going to play short side position on the 1. That's a really good choice. And one pocket players tend to get really good at playing short side position. And so this is a beautiful shot to watch. As you can imagine, Evan runs out. So he's going to pocket every ball on the table over here in his pocket. So he's going to shoot some bank shots, which are really impressive. But I want you to be equally impressed with this shot. Every game that you play on the pool table reinforces other games. And there are times in 9 ball and 10 ball when you need to get this type of short side position. And if you play one pocket regularly, look at how precisely he played that cue ball. Now you've got to be comfortable with the table that you're on, comfortable with the speed, so you know how the rails are going to react and how the cloth is going to react, so you can get right there. But what a beautiful shot. And it's that shot that it made it possible for Evan to have a chance to run 8 and out. But even from here, let's say he misplayed it a little bit and the cue ball stopped, let's say here. He still has a cut shot on the 1 or a double bank on the 1 where he can play the cue ball safe, and now he needs 3 and his opponent needs 1. So he's in the game at this point. Evan is still at the table for this inning. This is the 4th inning. But he still should be asking himself along the way, okay, what is the score now? When you play one pocket, that's on the front of your mind at all times. What is the score now? So Evan has gotten himself into the game. Now the risk taking comes down a little bit. He doesn't need to take as many risks. He's in the game now, and he's behind, of course, but needing 3 when your opponent needs 1 is nowhere near the same as needing 8 when your opponent needs 1. So for that reason, now if he was behind more, if there were more balls that he needed to pocket, he might shoot this 1 and try and draw the cue ball up here and get short side position on the 3. That's an aggressive shot. But because he's in the game right now, that might be part of the reason why he didn't choose it. I don't know. Maybe not. That's just a guess. But he does go take a look at the angle. I think it's pretty clear, very minimal cue ball movement, and you're going to get an angle on this 3 ball to bank the 3. When you watch Evan bank the 3 ball, he plays it with what I call one pocket speed. That means, like I said, one pocket players get really good at that fine-tuning speed control, and both with the cue ball and the object ball. He banks this 3 ball with speed such that If it doesn't fall in the pocket, it's going to be hanging in the jaws. Watch the speed. And that takes a lot of experience at the one pocket table to be able to do that. And that's the way that he wanted to shoot that. In other words, notice where the cue ball stopped. He wasn't playing for a run out. Sure, he runs out and he's giving himself a chance, but he's in the game needing 3. So imagine if the 3 ball stopped here hanging in the jaws and the cue ball stopped here. Roberto has to pocket the 3 ball and leave the cue ball here. Now Evan needs 1 and Evan needs 2 and Roberto needs 1. That's a classic one pocket end game. He's in the game. From here, this is just amazing shooting. Evan banks this 15 ball one rail. And the announcer said what I thought, which is he's cutting this 15 ball pretty thin to bank it down here. But I would think you'd be using left English, and that's going to cause the cue ball to hit the 5 ball, knocking the 5 ball over to your side of the table. There's a long shot chance that you make the bank, knock the 5 over here, and the cue ball continues over here, and you have some type of cut shot on the 5 ball to win the game. That's what I saw as happening. So this is the second shot after the initial bank shot that started this run. This is the second most impressive shot, or maybe the first most impressive shot of this run. Watch the cue ball. He had right English on that cue ball, not left. Once again, speed control to just dribble the ball in the pocket, and he did not run into the 5 ball. A little bit of right English. I think it was a little bit of right English. Let me know in the comments what you think. Just to hold the cue ball on that end of the table to go straight back and forth across. I mean, I'm going to try and cross bank this. I think everyone would, but it really looks like a kiss to me. It looks like a double kiss. You've got to get the cue ball out of there. You're going to be hit in order to do that. You're going to be hitting it a little bit thin and using right English, I think, to try and turn the ball to the pocket. Once again, with speed control, you're a little bit worried on this shot because you're using right English. You're a little bit worried that you're going to have too much right English and come back here and scratch, but you can't. You got to be confident enough in the direction of the cue ball that you're not going to come close to the scratch. This is the, I don't know, second or third best shot of this run. Just to beat the kiss is incredible. Once again, speed to the pocket. He's dribbling that 5 ball up there. If it hangs, he's a favorite to win the game. Look at the cue ball. I'm going to stop it right here because that ball goes in, obviously. If you go watch this match again, you'll see the cue ball go. The cue ball heads in this direction slightly. In other words, it's farther from the short rail here than when it left the 5 ball. And then it goes straight back and forth. So we know from that information that Evan used a little bit of right English to hold it. And that's a skill, too, to be able to judge the cross bank while avoiding the kiss, getting the correct angle on the 5 ball while using enough right English, not too much, to hold the cue ball straight back and forth across the top of the table. If you're going to be a one pocket player, you need to spend some time practicing that. And you never know what variation is going to come up during a game. Congratulations to Evan Lunda for winning the U.S. Open. And Roberto Gomez, as I said, people had a fantastic tournament. Go to the Griff's YouTube channel and watch some of those matches if you're a one pocket fan. There were some amazing matches. Okay, one pocket on the rack of the week. How about that? Well, that means next week we'll go back to straight pool. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. And if you're going to play pool, play it straight. See you next week on Rack of the Week. Bye.